can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what motivated you to get involved or to start this company?
Well, my name is Richard Austin. I'm the CEO and a co-founder of the company called Reglagene. And my background is technical in nature. I have a PhD in organic chemistry. I took that and started a career in the pharmaceutical industry, worked for some pharmaceutical companies you would have heard of, like Sanofi and GlaxoSmithKline. I decided I like the business end of the pharmaceutical industry more than the technical end. So went back to school, received an MBA in pharmaceutical management, and began managing pharmaceutical operations. So technically, that's what I do. I'm a pharmaceutical operations manager, especially on the R&D side. So that's my specialty, I suppose. So what motivated me? I became an angel investor in 2014 and started seeing new companies come through and pitch. Was writing checks to companies to become an investor in them. And I just saw the joy that they had doing what they do, creating new ventures out of nothing. And so I thought, I could do that. I want to do that. And so I really wanted to leverage. I've always told my kids to take advantage of what you already know, what you already do. And I know drug discovery and development because of the 23 years I'd spent on the R&D side of the pharmaceutical business. And so I went to the University of Arizona, began looking for some great technology that we could take out of there, and identified Reglagene's platform technology, got together with a professor and some of the key technology practitioners, and we made a company. And we've focused it on oncology, despite all the progress that we've made with new treatments and early detection. And there are just, we lose too many people because of cancer. And so this technology is really tailor-made for creating new oncology medicines, especially for defeating this problem of therapy resistance. And so it's a combination of a passion to do something that I wanted to do to start a company, but also too to do something that matters, and cancer therapies matter.
How long has your company, Reglagene, been in existence?
So Reglagene formed as a company in November 2016. And so that was almost 4 years ago. It was November the 4th, actually, that we filed our incorporation papers. We've been a company for almost 4 years now. I would have to say we were slow getting out of the blocks. I think that's because I'm a first-time entrepreneur, and really having to figure this stuff out is not as easy as I thought it would be when I used to sit in those angel investor meetings. And so you actually get going with this, and you see there's a lot of stuff that has to be done, and you create strategies that you think will work, and they don't exactly work. It just takes a little while to get things rolling. So we were able to bring our first significant dollars on board in the summer of 2018, began our operations in the fall of 2018, and we have built momentum since that time.
So what problems does your company address?
Well, the main problem we're focused on is this problem of therapy resistance. So a cancer survivor will go to see her oncologist, and she'll hear these words: your cancer's back. And it's the most devastating thing that a cancer survivor can hear. This is really the problem that we want to address, is that cancer just has this way of changing itself, after it's been confronted with an effective treatment, be that a surgery or a therapeutic agent. Cancer just changes.
Who specifically experiences the problem that you're addressing?
And it's people like you. It's the families that love them. Cancer recurrence, it happens a lot, as I'm sure you know, and you may even have researched that number. But
oh yeah, well I was lucky enough to get to interview through, fortunately, your sharing, Dr. Schroff in Tucson, and she basically confirmed that what I've read over the course of my research, because I am a research geek, is that 70% is pretty accurate.
Yeah. So what happens then, with those patients and their cancers is their cancers get knocked way back beyond the limits of detection. We pronounce people as in remission, but their cancers are in the background working. And what you have is the cancer is making genetic changes so that it can come back stronger and be not affected by what was a treatment that at one time worked. And what we do as a company is we try to target those genes that cancer has changed and reverse them back to a point to where those original therapies still do work and still can beat the cancer back. Who actually feels the problem? It's it's most definitely the patients and their families. You could make an argument about the payers. How with the cost of cancer therapies that with I believe it's a third of our population is on Medicare and Medicaid. We are all paying, so there's a little bit of a pain there for all of us. It's kind of invisible, but it's there. But the visible pain, it really goes back to the patients and their families.
Can you share an example story of someone who's experienced this?
Yeah, I had a very dear friend who in 2017 was diagnosed with mantle cell lymphoma. She had the good fortune of being treated at MD Anderson Hospital in Houston. This is one of the world's leading cancer institutions. And she had access to standard therapies for mantle cell lymphoma. She was in a couple of clinical trials to try experimental treatments. And twice during her journey, she was pronounced to be completely in remission, completely cancer-free. Every time the cancer roared back stronger than before. And my friend lost her life in 2019. And this problem, as you just said, of therapy resistance, it's not unique to her, it's general.
Yeah.
And affects those patients and their families.
Share about your solution in simple terms.
Okay, well, every one of us has a genetic blueprint, our own DNA blueprint that makes us who we are. And Ann, while you and I are having this conversation, every cell in your body is using this blueprint to create the proteins that sustain our lives. And so that blueprint actually tells the cellular machinery which proteins to make, what their structures are going to be, that type of thing. When cancer is confronted with an effective treatment, cancer is in the fight for its own life. And what cancer does is it tries to create a survival advantage. You can think of this almost like evolution on a compressed time scale. Cancer's making changes at the genetic level to create that survival advantage, to make proteins, if you will, in a different way than it was before. Make them in a different way so the cancer survives, but so the treatment is not effective. And the treatment that the patient has had that was at one time effective is no longer effective. And so what we do as a company is we identify those genes, and we come in with medicines that actually reverse that effect. We reverse the effect of that change at the gene level. Now, to be clear, when we first start to talk about this, people tend to think about things like gene editing and gene therapy, but that's not what we do. We have a way to create orally available medicines orally administered medicines that a patient would take in the comfort of her own home that would reverse this genetic effect. Lethal to cancer cells in and of itself, but also too working with those existing treatments to make them effective once more for that patient.
Where is the company in the development process currently?
We are still at the preclinical stage, and so as you know, Ann, the way medicines make it from initially a university environment to the market, it's a long and arduous journey. But you can think of two major phases here. All the stuff that happens before the clinic, which we refer to preclinical, and then the human clinical trials, where you actually figured out with real people, is it safe and is it effective? We're at that preclinical stage. And so we have two programs ongoing right now, one for prostate cancer and one for glioblastoma, which is a very deadly brain cancer. And both of these are at the animal testing stage. So what we're doing is we're taking um, cancer samples from patients, grafting them onto mice, having those tumors grow up on the mice, treating those mice with our drugs, with the idea that we will eradicate that cancer from those mice.
Do you have any outside or independent validation of your solution?
Yes, and so this fundamental technology that we are working with, it was actually discovered by our chief scientific officer, Dr. Lawrence Hurley, and he discovered it about 20 years ago. And the oddest thing is that when he first made the discovery, many in the scientific community thought he was crazy, that this idea that he had was not real. You could not, come up with orally administered drugs to reverse the effects of changes at the gene level. Well, now there's a whole science that's dedicated to this thing. So it's broadly accepted. And the thing that we're excited about as a company is Lawrence stayed on this topic for the last 20 years, and we are the technology leaders in this area. We are we have the first company that's bringing this technology forward. So we've planted our flag, if you will, as a company, that we are going to be the ones to see if we can actually make real medicines that help these cancer patients.
Excellent. What's your next key milestone?
Well, the next key milestone is to finish these animal studies, and we're on the path for both our glioblastoma and our prostate cancer programs to have those out December, maybe January of next year. And then the next thing after that is to choose the exact medicine that we would want to take into human clinical trials. We probably have about another 8 months of experimentation we need to do. We look at about 25 new drug prototypes each month and evaluate them, and they get better and better. It's design, build, test, design, build, test, and we do that over and over and over again. And at the rate we're going, we're looking probably at end of the second quarter, first part of the third quarter, to be able to choose molecules that we would want to take into the clinic. So next two milestones: finish these animal studies and then choose those molecules that we want to take into the clinic.
Excellent. What are the biggest challenges that lie ahead for you?
Biggest challenges that lie ahead. I guess the major challenge here is it's always capital. For a company like ours, it's always capital, because we're definitely a pre-revenue company. You don't sell these products until they actually make it onto the market. And so getting a breakthrough technology from where we are and into human clinical trials, some people have referred to this as the valley of death. And so capital is an issue for us. And so we certainly have raised money in the past, and we anticipate we'll be able to raise money in the future, which kind of brings us into the second problem. Is in the absence of revenue as a company, our currency is data. And so so we rely on these experiments that we're running to come out well and convince prospective investors that we're worth investing in. So we've had great success as a company. We've hit all the milestones so far, showing that this technology works. Next milestone is show that it works in an animal model. We hit that milestone. That excites the next set of investors, and so that's where the next thing that we're after. And then you identify the molecules that you want to take into human clinical trials. That's the that's the next level. But I guess the two big things that keep me up at night are: where's the capital going to come from, and and is our product development activity, is it actually going to pan out? That's the big two.
What stage of fundraising are you in? Are you pre-seed, seed plus?
We have a seed round that's open, and so we have raised about 2/3 of the dollars in that seed round, and that will get us past these. Once we fully subscribe this seed round, that'll get us well past these animal studies, and really just about all the way to being able to identify those molecules that will take into the clinic. We have been very fortunate on the grant front. We've actually won a couple of grants from the National Institutes of Health, one for our prostate cancer program, one for our glioblastoma program. We're quite proud of those grants because it shows that in the peer review process by experts, it just shows that our technology and our approach is seen as valuable and of high potential. We've also won grants from the state of Arizona. We graduated from the Arizona Commerce Authority's Venture Ready program, and so we had won a grant from them, which required that we go through that to really fine tune our business, and so we graduated that yesterday. So yeah, so it's that seed money that we have that we've been operating on.
So how much money are you trying to raise, and by when?
Okay, we are wanting to raise $2 million, and we'd like to have this round closed by the end of the year. We have raised 1.35 million of the 2 million, so we have 650,000 outstanding. We will be raising a Series A round of funding at some point in the future. Right now, we have it modeled at $15 million. That will be sufficient to get us into human clinical trials.
How are you structuring your raise? Is it equity? Is it a convertible note? A little of both?
This is an equity round, and so it is a $2 million raise on a 4.75 million pre-money valuation. So however the math works out there, we're selling about, what does that work out to? About 30% of the company. And the reason why we're doing that is we just felt like that our investors would want to know how much of the company that they're actually buying right out of the gate.
What's your minimum investment amount?
We are taking a minimum investment amount of $25,000. Now, that being said, we do have we have 4 LLCs that have invested in special vehicles where people who wanted to invest less than $25,000 have banded together with people that they know to create special investment vehicles in our company. Every one of those special investment vehicles is $25,000 or more. But it enables people who are writing smaller check sizes to work together to have a piece of this company.
So how do you plan to utilize the funds that you raise?
It's really to accelerate product development. That's the name of the game for us. And so I mentioned that we're evaluating 25 new analogs each month, 25 new medicines each month to get better and better and better. Design, build, test. We want to accelerate that to 50. And so the faster you go with design, build, test, the sooner you get into the clinic. And so we're really looking to trim up to 6 months off that time to get into the clinic by evaluating molecules more quickly. So it's purchasing the chemistry muscle that we need to make those compounds, and it's also enhancing our ability to test those new compounds in-house. And so it's really going to go to those two efforts. Also, too, by making that acceleration and looking at more compounds, it's going to strengthen our intellectual property position, the patent estates that we have, which should be very important to our investors, because companies like ours, we're only as good as our intellectual property. Without the patent system, we have no value whatsoever. And so we currently do hold a patent estate that we've licensed from the University of Arizona, but because of these design, build, test cycles that we've done, we're creating new intellectual property that is Reglagene's exclusively, and we'll be able to file on that, which will be great once again for our investors. So we're really quite excited about that.
So what is your exit strategy?
Exit strategy is IPO. And so if you look at cancer therapeutics companies, the one thing they have in common is cancer therapeutics companies exit. Okay, there's been an average of 1 per week over the last 5 years. Half of these exits are by initial public offering, and so which means there's a lot of data out there in the public domain about these exits.
Thank you for watching the Lowdown on Cancer presented by the Cancer Fund. To learn more about what's coming in future episodes, visit us at www.cancerfund.com. While you're there, check out past episodes and be sure to click join us to become a member of the Cancer Fund community. As a member of the community, you'll receive early access to new interviews as well as other announcements. Make sure to connect to all of our social media channels so you don't miss a thing. In addition to getting early access to new episodes of the Lowdown on Cancer, Cancer Fund members play a critical role in driving cancer innovation forward so that one day we can more than hope. We can actually beat cancer. Thank you for joining us on this journey.